Scott Fovel couldn't wait to tell me about the dirty tricks they were doing, because I was telling him, and my whole my whole script was that I was this consultant, and I had a client who was a wealthy progressive philanthropist who, had made a bunch of money off real estate. He was, plagued with white guilt, and he wanted to, and he hated voter ID. He thought it's racist, and he wanted to check his privilege by re-enfranchising, undocumented workers by creating a shell company that would issue them employer-issued IDs that they could show to the polls, and we could bust them from polling place to polling place so they could vote over and over again. Because back to my Mau, the people who have the most to lose in a Trump presidency are the immigrants, the people who don't have a voice, and so I'm Mau-Mauing him with this verbal virtuosity, and as Thomas Sowell would put it, and I'm telling him, like, he has my client Charles Roth has this brilliant plan to re-enfranchise undocumented citizens, and we just need, if he can, you create shell companies, issue them employer-issued IDs that they can show at the polling places that require IDs. Well, they just need proof of residency, so we just need Milwaukee addresses to print on their pay stubs. So since we're canvassing all these inner city neighborhoods and there's so many foreclosed homes and abandoned homes, can we just have the canvassers log the addresses of foreclosed homes so we can print them on the pay stubs so that our re-enfranchisees can show them, at the polling places, and they can vote. They can have a say in it. Yeah.
You laid out the whole plan for the 2024. So what did you do? You were supposed to expose them.
Yeah. So Scott Fogle tells me, that's brilliant, and I know who your client is. And I'm like, really? I just made all this shit up in my head earlier that morning. But okay, Scott Fogle, who's my client? He's like, well, Bob Creamer comes up with a lot of this stuff. And so I'm like, so who's Bob Creamer? And it turns out he's one of the top advisors to the Clinton campaign. And I'm like, really? What kind of stuff does Bob Creamer come up with? And he's like, well, we send mentally ill people to Trump rallies to incite violence. So, so to answer your question, this is how we get people to talk. We get them excited. We tell them what we're doing, what people we know are doing, and all these great things they're doing to save democracy. What are you doing? What are you doing? For the Google story, Jen Janai was the head of machine learning fairness. We created a fake charity, that paired and I reached out to Jen Janai and I was like, Miss Janai, you're a very successful, inspiring woman in tech. We have this charity called Two-Step Solutions, where we're pairing successful women in tech with young girls of color who
Music to my ears.
who are, have been pushed out into the exurbs by the tech boom. And so it's a sort of a reparative effort, and which inspires the guilt, where she's like this white, rich, privileged woman who's like, ooh, a way for me to pay back, So I would say, we're pairing. It's a mentor program. So we just ask, a half hour a month that you mentor a young girl of color. And she's like, ooh, how lovely. I would love to be a part of this.
By just mentioning women of color is racism.
Girl of color. Yeah, exactly.
This racism.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I got her to go to dinner with me. And then I recorded her telling me all about, what they're doing to manipulate the algorithms to prevent another Trump situation in 2020. So you play to their ego. These people, like I said, are clinical narcissists, and they love to brag. If you spin what they're doing, if you make the case to them that not only is voter fraud or stealing the election rigging, not only is it morally acceptable, but it's immoral not to commit it when the stakes are so high. You'll get them telling you everything. That you'll get them telling you where who started the Chicago fire. You'll get them telling you where Jimmy Hoffa is buried.
What's shocking to me is after all those stories that were exposed, they still do not shut up. They still talk and talk and talk. Mm-hmm. After the Pfizer story, Jay Varna still talks.
Yeah. Well, that's another
just
thing.
can't help himself.
It's the Pauline Kael complex where these people have no idea. They're in such a bubble that the idea of Trump supporters, the existence, it's still like an alien phenomenon to them, an extraterrestrial phenomenon. These people are not, they can't, it's why, you know, here in LA, for instance, you know, most people you meet, most liberals you meet will assume you're a liberal. You know, they'll just, wherever you go, they just assume they're surrounded by fellow liberals. You know, the idea of an actual, I know Trump supporters exist, but those are like, you know, in flyover country, or those are, you know, so these people are very unsuspecting.